Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of TJ's Reef. This time we're going to be talking about water parameters and what you should be checking for, and we'll demonstrate how to test for the most common parameters. Stay tuned. Hey there everyone, I'm TJ and welcome back to TJ's Reef. This episode, we're going to be covering water parameters, specifically the ones we should be testing for and some of the best ways to test for them. You know, it's important to remember that we shouldn't be chasing numbers. However, we do need to abide by certain guidelines.
The code is more what you'd call guidelines than actual rules.
And it's important that we do stay within these ranges, otherwise we may have detrimental effects to our tank inhabitants, and that's bad, real bad. So what parameters should we be testing, and what range should they be in? And how do we even test for these things anyway? Isn't it going to cost a lot of money? No. There's a number of ways that you can test for the most important parameters in any budget range. Now, what are the big ones we should be checking? Here they are. Number one, salinity. You can't run a saltwater tank without knowing how much salt is in the salt water, right? Yeah. Anyway, salinity. That tells you how salty your water is. Number two, nitrates. Number three, ammonia. Number four, nitrites. Number five, phosphates. Number six, alkalinity. Number seven, pH. Did I miss anything? Oh, and number eight, calcium. Those to me are the big ones that we want to make sure we're testing on a regular basis. Now, I didn't list those in any particular order. They're just the order that popped in my head of things that I test on a routine basis in my tank. Now, how do I go about testing some of these things? Well, some of it is automated, some I actually have to manually test it. Let's talk about the automated ones first and how I do that. I don't have $1,000 to spend on some of these robotic auto testers that are out there now. I wish I could, because I hate testing water parameters. So what I was able to afford was the Senai. Now, this is not an endorsement. I really do love the Senai. And for a couple $100, you can have some high quality testing automated. Plus, bonus, you get a par meter. For $200, a par meter, one that per BRS seems to be pretty darn accurate too. What else does the Senai do? Well, I'll get into it right after you click subscribe and then the little bell icon down there to make sure you don't miss an episode of TJ's Reef. So what else does the Senai device do? I should be more professional and turn my phone off when I'm recording. Oh well. The Senai device, in addition to telling you your light levels, being a par meter, which we will discuss in depth in a future episode, it constantly monitors and uploads to a database in the cloud your temperature, your ammonia, now I forgot, temperature, ammonia, pH, right? The main things that the Senai monitors constantly, and the ones that I'm interested in, are temperature, ammonia, and pH. Now, it does use some calculations to figure out some other values, but we're not going to go into that right now. So there's a couple of things that I don't have to test for on a regular basis. Specifically ammonia, which generally in a well-cycled established tank, you don't have to worry about anymore. But sometimes something dies and you don't even know it, and it's, large enough that it is overtaking your nitrifying bacteria's ability to convert ammonia into nitrites and nitrates, and you get a spike. So it's important to monitor ammonia, and this does that for me. As far as pH, it's great to know where your pH is at any given moment. And what I really like about the Senai is it shows me the daily cycle of pH. It also shows me that I have too much carbon dioxide in my house. It also shows me that during the summer, my pH gets depressed because the house is locked up and we don't have enough air exchange. So that kind of stinks, but it is what it is. Well, let's go see how I test for phosphate, calcium, alkalinity, nitrate, and I think that's it. So let's, whatever. Let's go check out all the test kits and, whatever, geek out for a minute. So let's head to the kitchen and see how we do all that. Go into the kitchen. Okay, now we're going to run through the different tests that we have to do. I'm going to do the most common ones, which are alkalinity, magnesium, calcium, and phosphate. pH is automatically monitored through my Senai, as I mentioned earlier in the show, and I don't have to test that here, as well as ammonia. I may test nitrates, I may not. Let's start with alkalinity. I love the Hanna checkers. Alkalinity is extremely easy to do. So all you have to do, now let me, I don't know if you can see this real well or not on the cameras here, but there is a fill line. And when you fill test tubes, or in this case, these little vials for the color meters, you want to make sure that you fill so that the bottom of the bubble that forms in here is at the line, not the top. So go to the bottom of the bubble. So let me fill this one here. It almost looks like it's overfilled, and let's see if the, whoa, just ran into the camera, look at that. I don't know if it's gonna focus in on this, probably not. But anyway, fill till the bottom of the bubble is there. Then what I like to do is put the cap on, tap it a couple of times, and then I'll just use my shirt to clean the vial. And we will verify there aren't any bubbles and that it's clean. Then before I actually do the test, let me just move this to the side, I get the reagent prepped. For this one, you have to get 1 full syringe of reagent. So I will get this pulled in here. There we go, that's 1 full syringe. All right, so for this, we will turn it on. You will see the C1. We put in the control, hit the button, wait for it to tell you to add C2. There we go. And now we carefully open it. Again, this is alkalinity, so we will now pour that in. There we go. And for this, it says to shake it 5 times. 3, 4, 5. And now again, wipe off all the fingerprints on the side of the tube so it is nice and clear, or clean. And I can't turn it on its side while it's doing its measuring, so you just put it in, press the button, and 7.8 is what we got. 7.8. Now let's do the phosphate. The phosphate is a little more involved. So, yeah, thanks, Hannah. This is how I received it, by the way. Cracked in two, but whatever. Everything was fine inside. Looks very much the same as the other test. However, instead of a very simple, easy liquid reagent, you have these crappy pouches. Now, I've got a really good method for this. So first, let me fill the vial. There we go, perfect. And same as the other one. Screw the lid on, wipe the fingerprints off. All right, now before I actually do the calibration, I take the packets and I get everything down to the bottom. And then I get my scissors, which is of course over here. All right, so I get my scissors and I cut the packet open. And then I open it and form a little V, so it's like a little funnel. And I just set it down carefully. Now I turn on the checker, wait for it to tell me to add. If you guys can hear all that chatter in the background, that's the family watching HBO. All right, now we will check the standard, which is just plain tank water. All right, so now we take that out and carefully pour in all this powder. And I like to pour it in nice and carefully, tap the bottom, and then when it stops coming out, I still know there's some stuck in there, so then I tap from either side to get it towards the middle. And look at that, more powder. And that should be everything. And now you have to shake it for 2 minutes. Get the fingerprints off. And I will set a 2-minute timer.
Okay, 2 minutes and counting.
And now we shake. And I just shake in a nice back and forth rocking motion. Sometimes I'll spin it one direction, spin another, but never vigorously shake it. So we'll just do this for another minute and 39 seconds. Yep, there we go, timer's done. So now, get any air bubbles off, put it in here. You hold the button down, and now it does a 3-minute countdown. Ooh, that's gotta be closed tight. A 3-minute countdown. So we'll just let that sit for the next, how come you're not closing? For the next 3 minutes. So we'll let that count down. All right, final 10 seconds here. I have a feeling it's going to be pretty low, so let's see what it says. I don't want to tip it on its side till it gets its reading. And here we go. 0.03. So a little lower than I like to keep it, but not horrible. Next up, let's do calcium. I actually haven't tested calcium in maybe a week or so, so this will be interesting. Now I use the API calcium test. Seems to be pretty good. I generally have my calcium around 420. So using the chart, I know I should be around 21 drops of reagent for this. So I'll get it to about 18 drops and then slow it down from there. And if you haven't used this type of test kit before, I'll show you. So first thing I'll do is fill my tube to the 5 milliliter line. Same thing to the bottom of the bubble that forms, which is right there. So you have to add 10 drops. 10. And actually it doesn't. The second bottle is what changes it to purple. So now this bottle you have to shake for a bit. And I will also turn this a couple times so you see it kind of turn a milky white. And we are shooting for a purple color. And I got too many paper towels plus the little tablecloth. But all right, so I'm going to add about 10 drops here. Shake it up. So when it turns to the purple, that's when you're done. So you have to count the drops when you do this one. 10. And you stir it a couple times. You see how it's pink? Definitely not a solid purple yet. So that's 10. We'll do 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 15. It's got a little darker, but definitely not the color we're looking for yet. So that's 15. Now I'll take it to 18. Again, it's a little bit darker, but definitely not purple yet. That's 18. 19. Still kind of pink. 20. And there it is. There is the color change. 20. So beautiful color change, 20 drops. We look at the chart and that tells us we are at 400. So we need to add calcium tonight. So I will go to the Bulk Reef Supply website since I use their products, and I will put in my current number that I want to get it to 420 and how many gallons I have, and it will tell me how much of the Bulk Reef Supply calcium to add. So that is calcium, pretty simple. All right, the last one we're going to do today is magnesium. My magnesium has yet to show up on this test kit, and when I mean show up, I mean it's over the level for this test kit. This test kit goes up to 1400, I believe, or 1500, and I am always a little bit past that. So we'll see if my new salt has been lowering that a little bit because it's higher than I prefer. For magnesium, you don't have a test tube, you got this thing, and you want to take 2 milliliters of the water. Now when you use little syringes like this, pull it past what you need and then pull it even further, because what you want to do is you want to create an air gap right here, and then you bring it up, tap the air to the top, and then move the syringe to get the air up, and then you push, went too far. So now I just pull a little in, and there we go, we're at 2. So I'll put the 2 into there, and then we are going to add 5 drops of this. 5 drops, and then 1 spoon of the powder. So here's our powder, and 1 scoop. And now we have to swirl it for 10 seconds. 10, all swirled. Now we take the number 3 and we draw 1 milliliter in. There we go. And yes, there should be an air bubble, an air gap between these two because that's compensating for the tip. And now you start to add it, and you're waiting for the color change to go from this pink to a gray or blue, whichever is first. And once it does, that's where you stop. So I'm going to go a little fast here in the beginning because I know I have higher magnesium. And that was 1 full syringe, so we're still over 1500. Here, I'll put another 1 in here so you can see that it will change color. So it is right there. So 3 drops in, so we are 0.95. So 1.05. So we're slightly above 1500. Not much I can do about it, and I'm not really concerned about having magnesium that high. That is how I do my major tests. You know, if anyone has any questions or has better ways of doing things, please jump right in. There's the tests. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed all the testing that you saw there. You may have noticed one of the things I didn't do is tell you what your numbers should be. I've seen so many different parameters work for so many different tanks, and I don't feel that it's up to me to tell you what your tank needs to be. I do what works for me, and others do what works for them. Yes, you can go out on the forums and find, you know, ranges that work, that should generally be followed. I'm here to show you how to perform the tests and which tests you should be doing. What your numbers end up being may not, and probably will not, be my numbers, and that's okay. I think more importantly than a specific number at any one test is stability of the number that you chose. If you keep your alkalinity at 8 and everything is flourishing and everything is going great and you're happy with that, then keep it at 8. And that stability, in my opinion, is way more important than chasing any one specific number because somebody on the web said, hey, your number for whatever needs to be this. Otherwise, you're going to kill everything. And people are like, no, everything's fine. What are you talking about? So stability of whatever the numbers you think are working for you is the key. That's going to do it for another episode of TJ's Reef. Don't forget to please subscribe down below there and then hit that little bell icon so you are notified the moment a new video is posted. Of course, if you have any comments, that also goes down below. I'd love to hear from you, and suggestions for our future episodes are more than welcome. Other than that, I hope everyone is doing well in quarantine. I hope everyone is healthy, and I hope your reef is as happy as mine. Until next time, this is TJ saying thanks for stopping by my reef. Boom.